Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Runners Roundtable. We're in season 5. It is hot takes. That is the theme. And today I am joined by Sabrina Lott, and we are going to be talking about gear. And it's not just the gear you need, but it's also, I think, where I want to explore is our relationship to the gear and the gear that we need in order to feel confident, to embrace being runners and embrace feeling like athletes. So, before we dive deep into that topic, Sabrina, please grace us with your voice and tell us a little bit about yourself, and if you can tell us your history with running and where you're at with running right now, that'd be awesome. So it's a three-part question: is who you are. I don't know how to ask simple questions. It's always
I like it.
multiple parts. So it's who you are, what's your history with running, and where are you with running right now?
Okay, if I get on a tangent, you gotta reel me back in. So
I'll
my name is
try. I'll
Sabrina
try.
Lott. I am a mother, partner, and businesswoman from San Jose, California. My children are 25, 18, and 2. So that comes into a lot of who I am. Um, I started running because my oldest daughter wanted to join cross country for a season to as a coping mechanism for depression and anxiety. And I was a very curvy mother. I walked, I never ran, but I needed to keep her safe. So we started running together. And fast forward, I did my first 10K in 2018, and I did my first half marathon in 2020, right before the pandemic. And I tell everybody that running saved my life because had I not been a runner when we went into the pandemic, I don't think I would be here today. And that is not an exaggeration. Where I am with running now, I became certified through 80/20 2 years ago to become a coach, and then this year through the Coaches Collective to coach women from their head to their toes. I help curvy, fierce women of color reclaim their lives through athleticism, through endurance sports, and movement, and whatever that means for them.
When you say head to their toes, what do you mean?
Um, because you and I know that a runner is not just somebody with really strong legs. You need to have a strong mind. You need to have a strong heart. And for a lot of us, especially those of us in curvier bodies, you need to deal with the stuff that's going on inside of your head before you will feel confident to walk out the door and start moving, whether it's walking, whether it's running. And a lot of us, there's a joke out there that says running is therapy. Running is not therapy, but it is a part of, and it can be a part of, and it is a healthier coping mechanism than some of the coping mechanisms that a lot of people use. And that is why I was excited to get my certification through the All Collective. I haven't heard you talk much about it, so that's a whole different conversation. But I wanted to be able to help women who were dealing with depression and anxiety and disordered eating and all of the things, all the weight that we carry in our backpack and in our lives that may stop us from pursuing our goals or
Hmm.
may keep us sicker in our bodies because we don't know how to take care of ourselves.
Oh, if I could give you a hug right now, I'd give you a hug, and then I'd probably cry just because
Okay.
that's my energy right now. It's I'm excited and then I can cry at the same time.
Same.
Because there is so much to unpack when it comes to being a runner and honestly athletics in general. And I had my my youngest daughter plays volleyball, and this weekend they had a tournament and it did not go well. Like it was not a great showing for the team. And the one thing that I kept coming back to in watching them play was how much I believed that their losses or their, quote unquote, repeated mistakes had to do more with what was going on in their head than with what they were doing with their bodies. It wasn't
Absolutely.
like all the girls, incredibly skillful, incredibly, they're just a phenomenal team, but mentally that is the hardest part of really being an athlete and in
Mhm.
showing up. And in watching her this weekend, I kept telling my husband, I'm like, this is what I do in run coaching. I try to explain to people, I'm like, I spend more time talking to people about their mental state than I do about the actual running bits. It's
Yeah.
more about how are they perceiving their runs? How are they perceiving their efforts and their performances than anything else? So I love that you say all that because I find that it's so important for anyone who does any kind of coaching to take a look at their people skills and take a
Hmm.
look at how are they validating a person's experience while still giving them feedback. You can still give them feedback, but how are you validating what they're going through and then helping them figure out their own solutions? So I really, really appreciate that. And yes, I did the Coaches Collective training, and I have this horrible habit of needing about 2 weeks to process anything that's life changing. So that's why I haven't shared.
Only
That's
2 weeks? You're doing
yeah,
great.
it takes it, yeah, thank you. It takes me like 2 weeks. So imagine I did the Coaches Collective, I think 2 weeks ago, this weekend. So for people, you can know when this conversation is taking place. I'm hosting a retreat. And so I'm like, I'm not even going to be
Oh,
fully operational
nice.
until, the beginning of April. So it's
Nice.
like just when I'm like coming out of this cocoon of processing Coaches Collective, I'm jumping into this other big event, and it just always takes me 2 weeks, which is why I haven't I haven't said anything because there is when I got into coaching, I don't think I understood the depth of taking a human first approach to coaching. And I'm
Okay.
curious if that was the same for you, because when I got into coaching, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to coach runners and give them plans and help them meet their goals. And the longer I've been a coach, it's like, oh, no, 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 it's actually more than that. Like, we're actually finding out, depending on, and I'm going to assume if you work predominantly with women, you've probably heard about, trying to conceive journeys or making the decision to not have children, or their bodies are changing and they don't know what to do with that body, or just being a woman is really hard when it's uncomfortable to run outside because you don't want people to look at you. Like
Yep.
all these things that, again, when I started coaching, had no clue that was going to be a part of it. So, was that a similar experience for you?
Honestly, I want to say I was the opposite. I got into coaching for that aspect of it,
Love
and
that.
then had to talk to, like deal with 80/20. And then because I am an apprentice for the Coaches of Color Initiative, I've gotten to spend a lot of time talking to Matt Fitzgerald and Angelina Ramos and Bertrand Newsom. And um, I was scared because I didn't have the technical skill, but I had the emotional part. I was the woman who was catcalled on the street and told that I was too fat and too ugly to be running, or running on the trail. And I had not AirPods. This was, back in the days I had like the actual beats over my ear, so they
Yep.
thought that I couldn't hear them. And I was finishing a sprint interval, and this gentleman turned to his girlfriend and said, "Oh, she moves pretty good for a fat girl." Like, I was that woman. And so I got into coaching because I wanted to help with the emotional aspect. And I prayed that somebody would teach me the technical stuff because I didn't have any of the technical. I only had the emotional. And I wanted to help people feel comfortable moving because I knew that it saved my life. And I didn't want other women to not have that power and not have that skill because I know how dark those days have gone. I have 3 children, but I've also had a couple of miscarriages. I have been in a bigger body my entire life. The first time I tried to exit this world was because a friend was so nice to tell me that I was too fat to wear a two-piece bathing suit to a school function. Like, I've been through all of those experiences, and I didn't want other women to carry those things with them from their from their teenage years to their 30s and their 40s, like so many of us have.
Yeah, and I think I love that people like you exist and that you don't shy away from saying the word curvy or saying the word bigger bodied. Or, I mean,
It's an
I went,
evolution.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure because it's embracing that. And I say for myself, like, and I've shared before on the podcast, where there is being an aging woman is a really interesting experience because your body changes in ways that you're not used to, or you get used to having a certain shape of a body, and then that shape changes. And that's where I'm at right now, where there are, um, I don't know, I don't think I've shared this on the podcast, but basically I feel like I'm going through puberty all over again.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean I am wearing baggy clothes to hide the curves because I don't feel comfortable with all the curves.
Hmm.
And it is such a challenging space to be in because I have two daughters, and I
Yep.
have two daughters that are 15 and 13. And those are
Hmm.
very critical ages
Yep.
for body image and for whatnot. So it's like, on the one hand, or not even on the outside, I'm like, yeah, big booty. Yes, the curves. So my daughters, that's the message they're getting. And on the inside, I'm like, oh my God, these curves need to stop. I just need them to slow down and just stop. My body's not listening. It's totally and it's up here, right? Like
Yeah.
it's mentally is where I'm being challenged the most. So for me, as someone who is struggling with a body that is changing, and it's like, and I always laugh because I'm like, my husband appreciates it. And if I
Absolutely.
lived, and if I lived like, 300 years ago, they'd be painting, right? Like I always try to reframe it for myself of like, I'm in my Aphrodite era. Because if you look
Oh,
up
I
the
like
goddess
that.
Aphrodite and you look up all the art, it's like the curves and the rolls, and that's what was considered beautiful.
I
And
like that.
yet, living in today and being a runner, it is challenging to be like, yes, and I've been running for over a decade, but it's still like, oh, this is a new experience for me.
Yeah.
So, being that it's a new experience for me, and also being that the topic of this episode is gear, that is something I am definitely struggling with because the chase is real.
Hmm. And you can't
And
run in baggy clothes.
oh my God, you can't. I
That's the
really
first thing
want
I wanted to talk
to.
about. Yep. Nope.
Oh my
You want
gosh.
to. And I wanted to, and I tried. But for me, so you talk about my evolution as a runner. Okay. So when I first tried to run, I was running in whatever leggings I already had and baggy cotton t-shirts. And one of the conversations that I always have is how unfair it is that most men already have basketball shorts. They can put on a pair of basketball shorts, whatever shoes they have, a cotton t-shirt, they can go run and they feel great. Most of us women, especially those of us with curves, can't do that. We need special gear in order to run. So when I tried running with my old leggings and my baggy t-shirts become parachutes. So my big body was getting slowed down even more
That
by this parachute I was trying to run in.
is
And I
such a
couldn't
great
run.
image.
It is. It's just what happens. And I have very bad spider veins in my legs. They're not varicose veins that I could have a doctor take care of. They're just spider veins that look really ugly. And when I was first trying to work out, they were very, very painful. And the doctor told me I needed compression leggings. Well, I was a single mother with two young children. I couldn't afford compression leggings. And so I said, okay, fine, I'm just never going to be able to run. But I was lucky I had a coworker who had lost over 100 pounds and was still holding on to her bigger clothes. And she gave me a couple of pairs of compression leggings so that I could start running in them. And these are the things that people, and especially coaches, don't think about. When we tell somebody, oh, anybody can run, just put on shoes and go run. Well, what about the people who literally only have shoes to go to work because that's what they can afford? They can't afford to go buy special running shoes and they can't afford to wear out their work shoes
Mm-hmm.
faster because you're telling them to go run. There's a difference in access for a lot of people with gear and just green spaces to run in. And then we start talking about curvy bodies and we talk about having the right bra so that your boobs are supported and you feel good. Because if your stuff is too small and it's pulling and it's pinching and it's creating new roles that don't exist, but they exist because the shirt that you're wearing or the bra that you're
Yeah.
wearing is too small, you don't feel fierce. You don't feel comfortable. So you're not going to walk, let alone run. There's chafing stuff on the market to help you with that. But if your bra doesn't fit right, your pants don't fit right, you're going to make it through that mile, but you're going to feel it for the next 4 days and you're not going to be motivated to try again. And these are conversations that people have to have and they have to be comfortable having. There are skinny people who get chafing. Don't let me tell you that it's just us bigger girls because I have skinny friends and they tell me they get it too. Because skin on skin, it doesn't matter. Skin
Yeah.
on skin, you're creating friction. Your feet chafe. If you're wearing cheap Walmart socks, you get blisters. I'm sorry. Some people are blessed and they have really tough skin, I guess. They can wear whatever they want. It doesn't matter and go run a marathon. I'm not that blessed. Anything over 2 miles, I have to be very, very careful with what I'm wearing. And for my
Oh,
athletes, I tell
yeah.
them your minimum baseline especially when you're having a really rough time and you just want to get a workout in, your minimum baseline is about 5 minutes because you can walk for 5 minutes in anything you're wearing.
Yeah.
Every woman who learns how to wear heels, you learn how to walk in those heels, right? Because you're walking in the office, you're walking, to your car, whatever. You can walk for 5 minutes in almost anything you're already wearing. So your minimum baseline is 5 minutes. But anything above that, we have to be careful.
Yeah. There's again, as my body is evolving, and now, if you're listening to this, don't go to my Instagram account and try to like scrutinize it. Um, but that's so it's been twofold, right? So like there's, or I just want to amplify what you're saying about
Hmm.
sports bras. So important. So important. I can't tell you how many races I've had where the distracting factor for me is my boobs are bouncing too much because the sports bra is not supportive enough, where I just feel like they're at my chin. And it's like, oh, okay, here I am. Like, I got used to a certain boob size and now they're a different size. So that means I need to get new gear. And there's the mental side of having to size up, right? Or
Hmm.
having to, and listen, the sizing up in my household benefits everyone because I get new clothes and my kids get all my old clothes and they don't complain about it because they're like, "Ooh, it's this brand. Ooh, it's they like fight over it." But for me, again, it's that mental of, "Oh, so I was used to being this size and now I need to go up to this size." But then that size also doesn't feel completely supportive or it doesn't
Hmm.
feel well. And I want to add too, so yes, sports bras are important. I just wanted to say that as someone who is dealing with more curves up top, that finding a good sports bra is really, really important. And unfortunately, in my experience, the really good sports bras are not cheap.
Exactly.
Um, and there are brands, right? Like Target, I feel like has done, and this is not, it's not an ad, not promoting them. I'm just sharing an observation that Target has definitely improved the quality of the material in their athletic wear. That I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing here. But so I want to say the sports bra and then also compression. So
Hmm.
I've found for myself that I cannot wear the cute little shorty shorts with the like flaps on the sides where like I can't. I cannot. I cannot. That is automatic chafing for me. And I love those shorts. Like I will wear them. So I want to say also just thank you for that baseline. I'm wearing a pair right now and I'm like, that I can wear as I'm doing my errands, as I'm walking around,
Yep.
but I still put my thigh chafing stuff on
Yep.
because my thighs touch. So it's like these, I love these shorts. They're so comfortable, but I cannot wear them to run. So
Yep.
for me, whenever I go into a store, that's part of the challenge of like, I see all these cute shorts, but they don't work for my body and they don't have pockets, which I
Hmm.
really need pockets. So like compression shorts or compression pants, that is what I normally wear, like the compression like shorts. And
Yep.
even then, I have issues with them because some of them are so tight around the waist that I feel very uncomfortable, right? So it's
Hmm.
like, oh, I love the compression that's on my thighs, my hips, my glutes, but then you get around the waist and it's like, okay, you're suffocating me. Like,
Hmm.
so even I don't even know. I'm like, what are they using as models
That's what I
for
want to
the
know.
gear?
That's what I want to know. And I'm not sponsored by anybody, but if anybody would like to sponsor and send us some free gear to test, I will give you all the opinions because that's what I want to know. Who are you choosing as your models? Because I get that, all my life, they've had those slimming pants.
Mm-hmm.
These are going to slim you. These are going to, hide your tummy, tuck your tummy. But I don't need my tummy tucked when I'm running. I need it held in place so it's not bouncing, but I need to be able to breathe because that's the other thing as coaches we teach women, right? You have to be able to breathe. You can't run, you can't live if you're not breathing in it. And I know you did a talk about pelvic floor, but that's one of the things that my pelvic floor therapist had to teach me was that I wasn't breathing. I was holding my breath, and that's why I was having a lot of problems. If my shorts are too tight, I can't breathe. If my pants are too tight, yeah, I look cute in the pictures before, but I want to make it through this race. I want to make it through this workout. So who are you using as your models?
Yeah, I have a belly button piercing and there whenever I have a big race, I always have to bring an extra piercing with me because sometimes the shorts that I wear are so tight just around my belly button that it somehow ends up like unscrewing it and I lose belly button
Yep.
rings
Yep.
all the time. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what are we doing here? And it's like we have to, I feel like there's so many concessions that you make where you're like, yeah, you know what? Those shorts are, and I say this for myself, the shorts that I love to race in, I know that they are going to chafe like hell. Like I am going to have some very problematic spots, but they have the best pockets and they have the best, like my butt feels like it's staying into place because that is, again, as this is me, and excuse me if I'm sounding so incredibly ignorant, but I'm going to be real with everyone in terms of my experience of having just more curves where I run and it's like, oh, I feel my butt moving more. Like I
Hmm.
feel it bouncing. My boobs,
Hmm.
I feel them bouncing more. And it's like, oh, this is, again, it is a new experience for me. And it's has me looking at the gear and looking at everything I wear and looking at everything that I need to feel comfortable and to
Hmm.
feel not only comfortable, because I think as runners, we are willing to sacrifice comfort for confidence in many cases, but
Yes.
it's even just like the stuff like, what do I need to feel confident in my body so that I can trust my body to do what I'm asking it to do?
Hmm.
And that's the space I'm in of like, okay, now I need to, I need to, yes, if anyone's listening and wants to send us product so we can test, because running gear is expensive.
It's
So
expensive. So I
I'm
have two
curious.
things on that real quick
Yeah.
before we pivot. So back to the pockets. Do you wear race belts or race
Mhm.
vests? Because
Yeah.
that's another issue where I don't think those are designed with anybody with curves in mind. And, my boyfriend bought me my very first vest before I did my first half marathon, or maybe he bought it for me right after. And I am not a pink girl. I don't like to pink it and shrink it. I don't like to wear pink. I am not a pink girl. And he respected that. And he bought me a blue vest, but it was a men's vest. And it doesn't fit my curves, right? I've been adjusting it for years. And then going into this last marathon, I had a friend give me a couple of her vests to try. I had another friend give me a couple of her vests to try. And luckily, my business partner and best friend decided to just be my Sherpa for Savannah because I couldn't find anything that fit, and I was having horrible chafing. Like I still have scars on my ribs from a 14-mile run because the vest chafed me that bad. So, we talk about the running belts and the vests. And when I don't have big boobs, but I just have curves. I have these big shoulders. I have, all these curves. Crap don't fit. The other thing is, as you're going up in size, I'm assuming because you haven't mentioned it, you're blessed enough that you can go up in size in the same store. But
Yeah.
what about the women who have to leave and now go find a different store? You have to go find
Yeah.
a different store, which means you have to pay more. Why is that fair?
Or, yeah, can we, I'm not going to name any brands here, but again, as my body's been changing, I've just been more curious about sizing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, athletic clothes is already expensive. Why are you tacking on more money? And I get it because more fabric is being used. Get it.
Hmm.
But why? Why are we tacking on, like, why is a size 14 $5 more than a size 2? Again, I get it. You're using fabric, you're using more fabric and whatnot, but athletic clothing is already
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume that these companies are making a pretty good profit. Your $90 legging is probably what, maybe cost them $30, like,
In a different podcast, I swear I heard that they were making like a 60% margin in some of those brands. Like, yeah, so why do I have to pay a curvy tax?
yeah,
And I have two bras that are almost identical from a average store and a pricier store because a friend wanted to gift me a bra for every women's marathon in Savannah. So I tried to explain to this friend that they probably weren't going to have my size, and she insisted, and she took me and my baby, and it was a fun experience. But while I'm trying on the bra, the attendant tells me, "Oh, well, they kind of run small sometimes." I'm sorry. The measuring tape doesn't change. Whether you're measuring a 34 inches or 38 inches or 40 inches in your store and 40 inches in Target, because you already mentioned them, should be the same 40 inches.
yeah.
What do you mean they run small? Like, I get pants and shirts, a medium in this store may not be a medium in this store, but I'm sorry, 38 inches in any store should be 38 inches. I'm sorry, I went to business school. I'm not a math major, but 38 inches should be 38 inches. 40 inches should be 40 inches. 42 inches should be 42 inches. I shouldn't feel like something is wrong with my body because your 40-inch bra doesn't fit me. But the 40-inch bra in that store is too big for me. That doesn't make any sense to me.
So it doesn't make any sense to me either. And um I find I just think I think back to a couple of years ago, I had posted this image or reel on Instagram, and it was one where I broke down how much everything I was wearing cost.
Hmm.
And my God, I mean, I included everything. I included my watch, which is like the biggest ticket item that I'm going to wear on a daily basis.
Hmm.
But I'm almost positive it ended up being like $1,000. Like it was something
Hmm.
ridiculous because I have running shoes, I have running specific socks, I have running specific clothing from
Yes,
head all the way down. I have
correct.
my lifesaver bracelet. I have my gear. I have a headlamp. Like I included everything in there. And that was probably the most controversial thing I ever posted.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because some people got really worked up about it. And they were like, I mean, I had someone commenting that they've been wearing, I think it was like shoes from Walmart that they've been wearing for the past 20 years. And my response was, if that's what works for you, that's awesome. That's great. I'm sharing what works for me
Correct.
because my body, if I were to put on Walmart shoes and then wear them for the next 20 years, I will have injuries.
Yep.
Undoubtedly,
Same.
I will have
Same.
injuries because right now I have a body that is, the minute my shoes hit 300 miles, things start to hurt. Like that's just my body at this point. So,
That's a hard pill to swallow. It took
yeah.
me a long time to get there.
Mm-hmm. So it was one of those things that I was like, when we tell people just put on your shoes and go outside and run, we are misinforming people
Absolutely.
tremendously.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, when you have a new athlete come to you, and let's assume this is an athlete that has very, very little experience with running, or they're coming to you because they want to become a runner. how do you start to broach the topic of gear with them? Because I find with my athletes, that is one of the harder conversations to have
Hmm.
because there is no one answer. Like, I can't say, hey, go to this brand and do that. It's very much the way I approach it with my athletes is I tell them, hey, these are the brands that are popular with your teammates. So you should look into them and you have to experiment. Like,
Hmm.
you have to experiment with what works. So, how do you have that conversation with the athletes? And I'm curious too, do you find that your athletes are comfortable speaking to you about gear and about things that they need in order to feel confident as runners and athletes?
Right now, yeah, honesty is the best policy. It is a conversation we have, and it's always comes back to what are your goals? If your goals are just to start walking more and to be able to walk on your lunch and take your kids to the park and hike on the weekend, you can get by with shoes from a big box store for the next couple of months. I started there. I got fitted at a shoe store because somebody told me to, but I couldn't afford the shoes. So I went online and watched for sales and bought a pair of shoes until over a year, maybe 2 years later. My dad sent me money when he found out I was training for my first half marathon. And, since then I've been in the same brand of shoes. I have the number 12s all the way up to the number 16s because I have wide little feet and nothing else works for me. I've tried. Um, but we have the conversation, what are your goals? And I have partnered with a local running store. They give me coupons as a coach that my athletes can go in there and get 10% off their shoes. And after we sell so many pairs of shoes, I'll get a new pair of shoes because I don't have a lot of shoes. And I tease, my running partner, she's a coach. She's a very, very fast coach, runner compared to me. She has like over 30 pairs of shoes. I trained for my marathon with 2 pairs of shoes because that's what I could afford. And then when my partner realized how many miles were on those shoes, he bought me a new pair for Savannah. But like I can't afford to have all the different shoes, and my feet don't fit all the different shoes, so it doesn't matter. And those are the conversations I have with people. Yes, you can run 3 miles in Costco shoes, but you're not going to want to run 13 miles in those Costco shoes because you're gonna have pain in your feet. You're gonna have pain in your knees and your back. And then we're gonna start talking about shin splints and plantar fasciitis, and it's gonna cost you a lot more money. So for me, my coaching, I have tiered levels, and I would much rather somebody stayed at the very bottom basic tier for the next 6 months so they can save money to buy a cheap watch and a good pair of shoes so that I know they have longevity in sport
Mhm.
versus starting out at the top and, oh, I'm giving them the best coaching I can and we're doing all the in-person workouts, but they can't afford the shoes that are going to keep them safe or the bra that's going to make them feel safe. I would rather they spend less on me and more on themselves because we have the longevity of sport. I just had to throw away my favorite leggings last week because I realized with my thunder thighs and everything else, they were getting worn out. And even the smallest run was causing pain. And even though they were my favorite leggings and they were, I think, were one of the only pairs for this certain brand that I love that I paid full price for, normally I wait for sales, they were no longer any value to me. They were causing more pain than joy. So why hold on to them? But the gear and the shoes, that's a really hard pill to swallow, but you have to because I want you to have longevity. And I just have the honest conversations. I have pictures of the chafing on my thighs. I have pictures of blisters on my feet. I ran a half marathon pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I ran a half marathon 16 weeks postpartum from a C-section. Okay. My clothes didn't fit because I didn't know where I was going to be when I was going to do these races. And I have horrible chafing. These are conversations that we have to have, and I'm honest with them. And yeah, my athletes are comfortable talking to me because they know who I am. And right now, I say I won't only coach curvy women of color, but that's who's attracted to me because that's the life I live, and I've lived for 42 years, and so that's what they're comfortable coming to me and talking to me. I have athletes who are not moms, and I have athletes who are not women of color, and I have athletes who are not do not consider themselves curvy. But we're going to have those conversations.
I want to go just rapid fire-ish. It probably won't be, but I just want to ask you, so I'm going to say a few things and you're going to tell us whether we actually need them. And
Oh,
maybe you can kind of just give us some insight as to, okay, if we need them, do we need the super fancy version of it, or can we go not fancy? All right.
ooh, okay.
So a running watch.
I think we need it if your goal is a half marathon or more. It doesn't have to be super fancy.
And I see this is why I say cannot ask a simple question, because I always ask, because the watch, and I guess I just want to chime in here with that, with a watch in terms of you don't need anything fancy because you don't need all the data that a watch is going to give you.
Exactly.
And I recently had this conversation with an athlete that there is other data that is more important, and it is the data that is qualitative and not
Absolutely.
quantitative. We don't need to worry about your steps. We don't need to worry about your stride length. We don't need to worry about that stuff when you are trying to become a runner and feel
Mhm.
confident in doing so with some consistency. So
Yep.
that's why I'm like, just want to add that because
Yeah.
I love it. And like my daughter, my daughter, I convinced her to, not I convinced her, I bribed her to run a 10K. So she is training for a 10K. And the other day she's like, I should probably get a watch. And I was like, she probably should get a watch. Like I'm down with getting her a watch if this means it's gonna
Hmm.
create longevity and her
Absolutely.
wanting to run more. But I'm like, I am not getting her what I have. And I'm not getting, she even like went on to look at Apple watches and she's like, look, mommy, this one is this price. And I'm like, you don't need that. Like,
Mm-mm.
I just need you to have something that is going to keep track of your time and your distance. That's it. You don't need all the other stuff. So,
Older runners, especially, I find we need to be able to see the pace and the heart rate until we learn what easy pace feels like. You need something that's going to tell you. And this is a conversation that I love so much that I have with Matt Fitzgerald because a lot of people set these goals. I want to run a race in this time. I want to run a race in this time. But they have no idea what that time feels like on their body. It's just because somebody else is making them feel like they should be able to do that. And so I want you to have a basic watch so you can see what your mile paces are, what it looks like, what it feels like, so that your goals are based on your body and your capabilities and not what somebody else makes you feel like you should have to do.
oh, snaps. Okay. Running specific stocks,
Yes, they matter, but they don't have to be the super fancy ones.
running specific shorts,
Yes, they matter, but they don't have to be the fancy ones. They just have to be what works for your body.
running specific pants,
Same. Has to be what works for your body, but it doesn't have to be the expensive ones because the super expensive ones don't work for my body.
sports bras, and asterisk because now I feel like a lot of stores are specifying low intensity, medium intensity, high intensity. When we're thinking about sports bra, how much does that labeling matter?
The labeling matters for me. I can't do anything in a low sports bra. A low sports bra is cleaning the house day. That's it. I need me, and I do not have a big chest. I just have curves and yeah, no. But again, it matters for your body, but it doesn't have to be super expensive. But that's one of the places that I do tell women to splurge because it is going to last and it's going to make a huge difference for your confidence and for your comfort. And be careful with the ones with the pockets in the back because if you have T-Rex arms like me, once you get something in there, you can't get them out anyway. So don't spend the extra money for that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who love those, and I have two bras that have the pockets in the back, and I tried, and I my shoulder did not like that. So it's not even just does my arm reach, it's straight up do you have the flexibility to bring your arm back, and it that does not work for me.
Not worth it.
So that's great. A running hat
No,
or visor.
no. I my friend who's run, I want to say she's done like 20 marathons and I've done two. She hates hats. She can't do hats. She can't do visors because they make her itch. You don't need them.
Running glasses.
this is where I'm getting kind of bougie and I tease my friends. I do think they matter, but like the basic $20 Goodars are amazing, but I do think they matter because I'm the type of person that when we're running, especially like trails and you're going sun and shade, I get annoyed. But if I have just my basic Goodar glasses on, I don't have to take them off. I'm good. And I do like that they protect my eyes. I just hate that I can't always see my phone when I have them on.
Yeah,
Priorities, first world
yeah, that's
problems.
for me a gooder in particular, just because I find them to be such accessible pricing
Yes.
for really cute glasses. I mean, and my glasses, they've taken me through marathons and they
Hmm.
take a beating. And hot tip for anyone, if you're wearing glasses during your race, it doesn't matter what your eyes are doing. When they take pictures, you're always gonna look good. That's
That's
why
what
I
she
wear
taught me.
glasses.
That's
That's why I wear the glasses. You'll never know. You won't catch me like in a mid squint. As long as I'm smiling and I always do a princess wave when I see a camera. As long as I'm doing both of those things, we're good. Okay. A running belt slash vest.
it matters if you can afford the one that fits for your body. Unfortunately, that's one of the places where there are not a lot of good cheap options. I mean, they did give us one at Every Women's Marathon. I gifted that one to a friend, but I had already bought my partner one and I used it. But again, it matters if you can afford one that works for your body because all of them don't work for everybody, no matter what anybody tells you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I have a running belt and I'm pretty attached to the brand that makes the running belt, but there is always I feel like a growing pains period with the running belt, because what happens with me is that the running belt slides up. So
Yes.
instead of being at my hips, it ends up sliding up to my
Yep.
waist. And I'm constantly like having to pull it down. And it's like, I don't even know. It's like finding the precise measurement of the belt part so that
Hmm.
it is open just enough that it fits and it's tight. And even then there is, depending on the material of my shorts, is how that's like it's going to interact with the belt. So that's why I'm I am I am married to the pair of shorts that I race in, because I know that those shorts and the belt are a
Hmm.
good combination.
I
Um,
haven't found that good partnership because I have the pants and I have a running skirt again because of curves and sweat marks and
mhm.
everywhere. I wear a running skirt and then you have to think about how many gels do you have in your belt at the beginning of the race versus the middle because by the middle then there's less gels so the belt doesn't feel the same and yeah, it's an investment of time that I haven't been able to make yet. So I will say that it does matter and like you're married to yours so it does matter when you find the good one, but when you can't find a good one, it's better to spend your time worrying about other things.
Related, a handheld water bottle holder.
Some type of water bottle holder and carb holder is required, but I'm not going to tell you to use handheld or pocket. I've trained with them all. I had only pockets up until recently. My partner just bought me a handheld one, and so I've been practicing with that one. But because I usually have the baby and the dog and all that, I would rather have something in my pockets or in the stroller or in my vest than in my hand. I want my hands free for my phone and my kid.
Yeah, I've tried handheld and doesn't work for me. I'm also someone who's uh super safety conscious
I
person.
was
So
gonna say
I
that. Yeah, we haven't talked about that. I'm surprised. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I always have something on me, and that's another reason why I need my hands free.
yeah. So we can go into that safety gear for
Yes,
running.
personal protection device, something at all times. Everybody is comfortable with different things. You and I are in different states, different things are legal, but I think you need to have something at all times. And that's one of the reasons why I like my watch. That's another reason why I do like my watch because I upgraded to this type of watch because it had this the security settings on it, or the what do you call it? The safety alert, the
Yeah,
when you
so
need
like if
assistance.
you
And
like stop or it detects that you fall or something like that, does your watch have that feature and it automatically contacts your
instantly
emergency
stop
person?
or instantly take off running. That's the like I have accidentally triggered it multiple times because I suddenly took off running or I was cheering at a race and so suddenly my heart rate went up and it starts calling my emergency contacts. So I know that it works. And
Yeah,
that's one of the
yeah.
reasons why I upgraded.
So safety gear is a yes for me. It's a
Safety
must as
gear is a
well.
yes. It's a
I
must.
I'm extra and I have Go Guarded like their ring that has the little serrated
Hmm.
knife at the edge in one hand, and I have pepper spray in the other
Exactly.
hand. And that is just, if I run without those things, I feel naked. And I swear that's the
Absolutely.
day I'm like, I'm going to get attacked today because I don't have this stuff on.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. And it happened last week, actually. I took the dog, I had my knife, I didn't have my pepper spray, and another dog came at us. And like, I just, if I don't have it, something is wrong. And all my friends know I always have something on me. The problem with a knife or a go guard or anything is the person has to get close to you before you can use
yeah,
it to defend yourself, right? You should have pepper spray or something that's further distance. You should practice actually knowing how to turn it on and spray it, with the wind not coming at your face. Like these are
yep.
things that conversations that you should have. Every woman, every runner, actually, it's not even just women, every runner should have something to protect them because there are bad people out there. It doesn't matter where you run, who you are, there are bad people out there, and you should have some way to defend yourself because we
a-
deserve to do what we want to do.
Absolutely. Headphones.
I'm a 98% yes. I have to have them. I almost always have a podcast or an audiobook going, music now with the baby. But I have been practicing because I've been trying to learn to turn my brain off a little bit. I have been practicing going out without them. So yes, I think it's important to do it every once in a while. But me, I need my music for a race and I need my podcast and audiobooks. I work from home now. I don't commute anymore, so I'm like behind on my podcast and audiobooks and they give me life. So I need my headphones so I can catch up on my workouts.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't ran with headphones since 2019, and it was
Wow.
really, really hard when I first started it. And now I feel like I would not be able to run with them. Like, so for me, I'm like, nope, I can't, I can't. And so
I
that,
run with the over ears, like we're trying not to say brands, but I run with the over ear ones so I
yeah,
can still hear everything around me. And then my AirPods are just for home,
yeah,
for videos and stuff. But
yeah.
sometimes I work out because I like want to finish this podcast.
Oh,
I want to finish
absolutely.
this
Listen,
audio.
there are days there I'm listening to an audiobook right now and I'm like, man, if I still used my if I still used my ear things, I would be able to finish this audiobook
Exactly.
sooner, but
Or if I
it
didn't have to play Disney music for this baby, I could finish my own stuff.
your playlist could be your own. Okay, last one in this rapid fire are the category is recovery tools like boots, massage gun, massage ball, you name it.
Something is a requirement. Like my business partner is a PT also, so she has taught me this well. And honestly, I have to give a caveat to everything. All of my really expensive running gear, my partner has bought for me because he loves me and he knows as a mom I could never spend that money on myself. So he bought us a massage gun to share last year, getting ready for Savannah, and I took it with me to Savannah, and everybody in my room used it before and after the race. And I don't know what my life was like before it. The same person a million years ago who gifted me my very first compression pants, she gifted me my very first foam roller and made me learn how to use it. And I think it's required. I don't have the fancy boots. I don't have anything else fancy. The massage gun is the fanciest thing that I will ever own. And some type of recovery gear is required. But I was listening to a podcast recently and it made me laugh because whatever is required is what you're actually going to use.
Yep.
If you don't use it, it does you no good. It doesn't matter how much money you can or can't spend. If you don't use it, you can do a lot with a basic tennis ball. I
Yep.
learned that in PT a million years ago. You can do a lot with a basic tennis ball that you get for $1, but you have to actually use it.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to thank you for saying that because it's so easy to get caught up in the hype of all the gear that's out there. And I mean, I believe I shared it on the podcast. If not, it was with someone that I was speaking to where it's like, I have the recovery boots. I've had them for a couple of years. And I would say I have not used them in over a year,
See?
maybe longer. Like when I was training for the London Marathon, I was religious about using them. Like I would do my long run, come home and put the boots on. And then we had moves, life happens, all this stuff happens. Um, and I stopped using them because they're a pain in the butt to take out, to put away. But
Mhm.
For me, the recovery gun, I'm right there with you. Like that's the one baby, everyone in my house uses it. So I'm like, I could have done without the boots, just bought a few like massage guns, bought the regular size, the mini size, and that would have been probably more effective in our household.
Sell your
Um,
boots and buy yourself another pair of shorts.
yeah, seriously, seriously. All right, I have like six more questions for you.
Okay,
Probably move a little bit quicker.
I'm
Um,
trying.
so no, I'm saying me because again, my questions are never singular, but I'm trying here. All right. What gear should people prioritize? What gear should people prioritize?
I think we've already said it, but I start with shoes. Again, if we're talking about women, then you go shoes, sports bra, pants or shorts, something for your bottoms, and then top. Because I still find to this day, if I have on a good bra, I can run in a dollar tank top. It doesn't matter. As long as my bra is good, the top that's over it is not as important. But I am a sleeveless person. I can't run in sleeves. I feel suffocated. So that would be my priorities.
Yeah, that's a great one. And you know what I forgot to ask you on the rapid fire? Uh, body glides, jelly, chafing
Yes.
product.
Yes.
Yes. And can
I've
you
used so
go ahead?
because I grew up as a curvy girl, right? So I wore biker shorts under my shorts, under my skirts from the time I was little. So I've always used something. I in my previous life I was a direct sales consultant and we had products that we sold, and so I've always used something. I don't have a specific brand that I like now as a runner. I've tried everything everybody has suggested for me. Squirrel's nut butter is what got me through Savannah, because Coach Angelina taught me to carry a little bit of it in the baggie in your shorts. So then when you stop for a bathroom break in the middle of the race, you can reapply it because it's warm in your pocket and like it's really easy to go on. And that was a lifesaver for me. But yes, something is required and you need to lube everything that's going to touch itself, like skin on skin, or everything that's going to touch clothing. And it was a gentleman who warned me about that going into Savannah, and I laughed because he has a curvy wife and he's a marathoner himself. And he told me, like, all these places that it might be TMI to talk about, lube it because it's gonna hurt if you don't.
Yeah, and if not, you're gonna learn real fast when you take a
Yep.
shower and everything burns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shoes, sports bra, bottoms, tops.
Yep.
That's priority in
That's
terms of like
priority.
priority, and also like if we are figuring out where to put our money, more money to shoes,
Yes.
then sports bra, bottoms, and tops. And I also just want to say that I agree with you. If I have a really good sports bra, I'm not gonna run in cotton because
Yeah.
no, but if I have a really good sports bra, then I can be incredibly flexible with whatever like quote unquote technical top I wear
Mm-hmm.
because I'm fine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, in your opinion, what do you think is the most overhyped gear out on the market right now?
Ooh, that's a good one. But I honestly, probably gonna come back to the watch. Because like you said, you don't need to have all that data and half of us can't even understand it. I've been a coach for 2 years. Don't ask me what my cadence is. I don't care. Like you don't need the top of the line. If you're gonna go run an ultra, then yeah, you need a better watch because you just want the better battery life, for goodness
Mm-hmm.
sake. But unless your goals are way up there, you don't need the top of the line watch. You can use a basic watch to teach you the basics, like I said, until you learn to get to know your own body. I'm gonna go back to, yeah, watches. They're hype. And yeah, I don't get it. Because again, I've had basics. I started with the cheapest. I started with the little pedometer thing on your belt that
Mm-hmm.
my oldest daughter bought me, and my boyfriend upgraded my watch because my last one didn't last through my accidental ultra. So
Story for another day.
yes.
On the flip side, what gear do you think is the most underrated?
For me, like we talked about hats and visors, but I love a good headband. I hate the feeling of sweat dripping in my eyes. Um, So I like a good headband and they don't have to be expensive. The brand that I started running with doesn't exist anymore. So last year I had a bunch of friends like gifting me their headbands and I've been trying them out. But I love a good headband just to keep the sweat out of my eyes because I hate that feeling. I don't always want to wear a hat. I don't like the way it feels. I feel overheated in a hat, so I've been trying to wear visors. Um, and I am now an ambassador for one of the hat companies, so I probably shouldn't say that. But I love a good headband.
Yeah. What gear helps you feel your most confident?
The right pants, the right shorts. Um, when I'm supported and I feel like things look kind of sort of the way that they should, and I'm not going to have chafing and pain after, that can make a huge difference for me on my run.
Feel free to say the brand here. What is your personal favorite gear item?
My Fabletics pants. I'm torn between, I have a new pair of Oiselle pants that my mother-in-law bought me for Christmas. I'm torn between those and Fabletics, but Fabletics is what I've run in for the last 8 years, 7 years, and I feel different when I put them on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about gear. And I know I've said it for myself that if there's ever a day I'm feeling sad and I need to do a run, I make sure I put together a really cute outfit. So at least on the outside, I look like I'm happy, even if on the inside I'm not. And that's why normally, like for my races, I do like I'll put the glitter on my face. I have, special bracelets that I wear, and I try to inject some personality into the staples that I wear because it's all those little things are signals. Like I find that the gear that we wear and the gear that we use, they are signals to our mental state and to us feeling our best when we run.
Mhm.
So
And
I
I tell
think,
people,
go ahead.
if you're having a rough day and you're not sure you're going to get your workout in, dress for it anyway. So
Yeah.
when you put on those pants that make you feel confident, that sports bra, that your race shirt, like I'm one of those people who keeps my race shirts and rewears them. So if you put on the shirt from your half marathon, marathon, 10K PR, you're going to look at yourself differently. You're going to carry yourself differently and you're going to react better. It's the signal to your brain, right? Because that's why we coach from the top to the bottom. You're gonna feel it in your brain, you're gonna feel it in your heart, and it's gonna give you a better outcome.
Yep. Okay. Three final questions. Seriously, three final questions. So I threw in some more there. But can you tell us where we can find you? How can we better connect with you? Just where are you so that we can get more?
So my public social media is at Coach Sabrina, Sabrinal, as in Lot, because there was another one out there. And then my website is sabrinalott.com. My blog is on my website. You can subscribe to my newsletter. Everything is out there.
What do you have coming up this year, running wise, that you're excited about?
So this answer has actually changed since you and I originally talked because I've been invited for my very first pacing gig, and I am super excited for that because again, I have not been a runner all my life. I didn't ever imagine myself pacing, but I am a back of the pack runner and I'm a back of the pack coach, and I was really excited to be invited to pace the 3 hour and 15 minute half marathon at our local half marathon June 1st so that I can give back to our community. And then, in addition to having spots open for paid athletes, I'm starting a free group for mothers so that moms can come out and work out with their kids because a lot of our kids come to the, kids races from 2 to whatever age. But I know that there are a lot of moms who have kids who aren't interested in ball sports, don't want to do the regular things, and they just want to create a new active lifestyle with their family. So I'm starting a free group for moms in my local community here in San Jose to just see where it can go. And that's honestly what I'm most excited about because I am the mom who used to walk laps around the park while my kids were playing. But we weren't always very active as a family until, this last 10 years. And I want to be able to give back to our community and start some healthier habits to get everybody moving,
Yeah, I mean, it's like planting seeds. So
right?
that's what you're doing, planting seeds and seeing how they grow with a little bit of love and nourishment. final question is, what are your final words for us?
Oh, I mean, first, I thank you for this opportunity. I am a huge fan. I did finally go back and read your Every Woman's Marathon recap. I told you I wasn't going to read it till I finished mine, and I was very emotional. Had some health issues pop up after mine, so it took me a long time to write mine and digest it. So I did go back and read yours. So thank you. I am a huge fan. Thank you for what you do and the conversations that you're having that not everybody is having and they need to be had. And on that note, I just want to encourage everybody to keep trying to show up, take that first step. You don't have to see the whole staircase, you just have to take the first step. Ask for help, accept help when it's offered to you, and know that you are not alone. You deserve to be here. You deserve to take up space, whatever that means for you. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be supported. And if you're not getting that from your community right now, it's time to build a new one because we all deserve to be here and we all deserve to have fun. And there is no one person who deserves to call themselves a runner or an athlete, and we're going to make the world better by showing up and being ourselves and giving other people permission to do the same.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say anything else. Just thank you for being here. We'll see you all next time.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.